Hey guys, so today I'm making this Native American fried bread recipe for you guys. I got my inspiration actually years ago. I want to say about 5 years ago. It was on an episode of one of these cooking shows, and they went to a Native American restaurant and they had these fried bread type of tacos, and I wanted to try it. It's made with very simple ingredients, very delicious, very light and airy, and you can fill it up, eat it like a taco, or just eat it flat like what do you call it, a tostada, I believe it is. All right, but we're gonna start off with 3 cups of all-purpose flour, 1 and 1/4 teaspoons salt. You can reduce the salt if you like, to just 1 teaspoon, 3.5 teaspoons baking powder. So 3.5 teaspoons baking powder. And you're just gonna mix your dry ingredients together. You're gonna add in either 2 tablespoons unsalted butter or 2 tablespoons shortening, or 2 tablespoons tallow. In this case, I'm using tallow, so beef tallow. I have a video on how I made this. I'll put it down below in the description box and in the comments section for you guys to check out. All right, but years ago I was watching an episode of Triple D, and they had gone to a Native American place, and they had Native American fried bread tacos. Okay, again, I don't know if that's what you guys call them, but they look delicious and I wanted some. Okay, so on this night I wanted to make something different, and I was thinking. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna make that, the Native American fried bread tacos that we saw. So to add to your dry ingredients, you're gonna add 1 and 1/2 cup warm water. This is going to make a very sticky dough. Very sticky dough. It's gonna look something like this, but try to mix it as much as you can to get some gluten to build up so that you can handle it better once it has rested. All right, so once you have your dough mixed like this, clean off your spatula or whatever it is that you're using to mix it. Just cover it, set it aside while you get your fillings and proteins and toppings together. So I'm just gonna brown up some ground beef. Okay, and you can season this however you personally like. I don't really like using the packaged taco seasoning. It just has like too much salt to me personally and not enough actual seasoning in there. Okay, salt is only part of seasoning, but seasoning like spices and herbs and things like that doesn't really have that much, in my opinion. But in my taco mix, I like to use some chipotle powder, some smoked paprika, ginger, cumin, garlic powder, onion powder, black pepper, some dry oregano powder, and then my salt. This gives me like the perfect taco seasoning without, just a bunch of salt and no, actual taco flavor seasoning in there. So that's what I like to use. You can use a taco seasoning packet if you like. It's completely up to you. Um, and that's why, you cook your own food. You make it to your liking. I'm just showing you what I use, you guys. And the noise, by the way, is my dog scratching something. All right, so once I have that together, I felt as though I needed some more cumin in there and a little bit more garlic powder. Added that in there. Okay, and yep, that's it. That's how I like it. When you cook to your liking. All right, for my second protein, I'm doing chicken breast, and I took this meat off of some boned in chicken breasts I had purchased specifically for the bones because I made chicken broth with them, very beautiful chicken broth with them in my slow cooker. If you guys want to see a video on that, let me know. I can show you how I make my chicken broth in a slow cooker. All right, and I'm seasoning the chicken with the same seasonings for the most part, the smoked paprika, chipotle powder, garlic powder, onion powder, a little bit of ginger, cumin powder, some dry oregano, um, a dash of ginger, like I said, and salt and pepper, the basics, and then the added, like the cumin, the chipotle, the cayenne, the the extra things. All right, so once I get that all together, I'm gonna mix it up. And I don't really measure seasonings when I season proteins. I don't even weigh my protein. I know a lot of people would weigh their protein and season based on weight. I season based on how it looks and the smell of it. And sometimes I'll dip a pinky in there and give it a little taste. That's how I was taught in my third world country. I didn't die, I'm alive. I've never given myself food poisoning, but I have gotten food poisoning from a restaurant. All right, but I wanted a little bit more razzle dazzle in there, so I added some parsley flakes because why not? All right, and gave that a mix. And then we're just going to cook this off about 3 to 4 minutes on each side. You don't want to overcook your chicken breast. Like you want to cook it where it's fully cooked. It's 160 plus degrees on the internal temperature, but you don't want it to be like super dry. Okay. All right, so I'm using some of the beef tallow to brown off my chicken or brown up my chicken, however you want to say that. All right, and like I said, 3 to 4 minutes on each side. They're not really thick, and cook them completely. You can use a thermostat if you don't know how to kind of eyeball or, you know, press on the chicken to see if it's cooked. Okay. And by the way, you guys, you do not have to use any meat, like animal meats, for this. You can use black beans if you want to use something with a different type of protein. You can use shrimps, you can use fried fish. It is completely up to you. It will taste amazing, I promise. Okay, so my chicken breast pieces are done cooking. Those are going to be chopped up so they don't need to look perfect anyways. So now our dough has rested for a good minute. Okay, while I cooked all that protein, I'm going to flour my working surface. It needs to be floured really, really well because this dough is really, really sticky. Once you get your dough onto the countertop, you are going to flour your fingertips. Okay, you can even use some water. Water, not water with flour, just either water by itself on your fingertips or flour on your fingertips. Either or, not together, or else you're just going to make a stickier mess. Okay, and you're going to section off this flour in little balls. I would say like little small golf balls. Okay, section it off. It's going to be very, very soft. They do not need to be perfect. You're not using a rolling pin or anything like that. And as you guys can see, I just threw some flour on my hands to keep my hands from sticking on the dough balls. Okay. And as you can see, there's enough flour on the working area, my cutting board. I prefer to do breads and things like that on a cutting board. It's just easier to clean up instead of directly on my countertop. I've done it on my countertop, but it's too much space and it just makes too much of a mess. And it's too much to clean. It's easier to clean the cutting board and then just wipe up what, fell onto the countertop. All right, so now we're gonna kind of smooth up our ball just a little bit. It doesn't have to be perfect, just smooth it up. And you're going to kind of stretch it out by doing this little circular type of movement right here where you're slowly stretching out the dough as you are spinning it, almost like a mini, almost like a mini pizza. Okay, and you want this to open up. You can pull it a little bit, just stretch it out. It does not need to be a perfect like texture. It doesn't have to be smooth. Just turn it in that little circular movement. As you're turning it, you're stretching it and opening it up. Okay, you want this to be thinner than a half inch. That you want it to be, less than a half inch in thickness by the time you're done stretching this out. And like I said again, does not have to be a perfect circle. Okay, once it hits that oil and it cooks, you'll see it doesn't matter if it's a little lumpy and ugly looking. It's going to turn out just fine. All right, so that's how it's going to look. And then you're gonna have, while you're doing this, by the way, have your oil already on the stove. So whilst you're watching this video, before you start getting, your dough ball section off, as you're sectioning off your dough ball, your oil should be heating up on the stove. And I did a medium high heat for this. They cook very, very quickly. You can use a ladle like this in the center when you put it in to kind of keep it from puffing up too high. Like you want it to puff up, but I noticed that the ladle kind of helped me give it more of a bowl, like a flat dish texture, a flat dish um look on the opposite side. So you see how it looks almost like a little bowl, right? So I'm able to put my toppings in there. So It does not take long to cook this. Just cook them till golden brown on medium high heat. They cook very, very quickly and they puff up really, really quickly. All right, so this is just a sped up version. So you see how quickly they puff up, and you see how thin I pulled it. You can almost see through it. So don't worry if it looks too thin or anything like that. It will turn out just fine once you get it in the oil. And you see how I'm getting those edges. So when I turn it off, you can turn it off, turn it over. You see the edges, how it looks almost like a little bowl. That's kind of why I'm using the lathe. It gave me that effect. Instead of it just being like flat and lumpy, it gave me like some edges where I can kind of use it like a bowl. So now that all our native bread is fried and done, I'm going to cut up my fresh toppings. So I'm doing tomatoes, jalapenos, and some lettuce. You can definitely do corn, beans, whatever your heart desires, you can do, okay? The video's purpose is mainly for the fried bread recipe. Everything else is up to you. You can even make this for breakfast. Put breakfast sausage in it. Put some eggs in it. You know, if you want to make like a type of pizza thing, go ahead. Put some marinara sauce on there, pepperoni and cheese. I'm not judging you. Not too much. I'm just joking. Go ahead and do whatever you want. Okay, it's your food, your house, your rules. All right, so I got my chicken cut up, all my stuff cut up, and now we're going to put together our Native American taco um, bowl things. um, you know, a couple of people call them different things on Instagram, so whatever you want to call them. But the inspiration definitely comes from the Native American fried bread that I saw years ago. Okay. All right, so I put my ground beef, my seasoned ground beef, my lettuce, my tomatoes. Then I'm gonna do one with chicken and put lettuce, tomatoes. Then I'm also going to add some queso fresco on top of there and some salsa. Okay, optional. You know, do what you want. All right, and that is it. You know, it's pretty easy. Um, the dough might be a little sticky when you make it. It might make you a little concerned, but you can definitely do it. Just make sure your fingers are heavily floured, your working surface has a proper amount of flour, and you should be good to go. I added some salsa on top of it. You can add some hot sauce. On mine, these are for the kids. On mine, I added the same toppings, but then I also added jalapenos because my kids don't eat jalapenos. I added jalapenos on mine, and I also added some hot sauce on mine. It is I think it's called Yucatel. Yucatel, the hot sauce, very delicious, good amount of heat, especially on these types of dishes. Really, really enjoy that hot sauce. All right. I think if you decide to make these for like a family taco night instead of like your typical tacos, I think your kids will really, really enjoy this. Or if you don't have kids and it's you and your partner, your husband, your wife, your husband watching this, make it for your wife. She's gonna love it, okay? If your wife making this for your husband, he's gonna love it. Doesn't matter if you're making this for your friend, they're gonna love it, all right? The point is they're gonna love it and you guys are gonna enjoy your dinner, okay? But again, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate the love and support on this channel since I created it in 2014. And I hope to continue to make some videos for you guys in the future. See you next time. Bye, guys.